Yeah, that was creepy, wasn't it? Oh man. But yeah, thanks for joining in on a third live stream today. Technically fourth if you saw the failed one. But yeah, dropping live streams faster than Capcom can drop Resident Evil and Street Fighter remakes. Hopefully somebody got that. But yeah, Nintendo and third party develop third. I'm not. It's not even third party developers. I gotta take that back. Third party publishers and Nintendo. Because there seems to be a very rough relationship there. One that is not to the benefit of either. To be perfectly honest, it's just like it's the situation. Is how things are. Um, me personally, I'm fine with not every third party developer. Well, not developer. I'm fine with not every third party publisher loving Nintendo. I'm cool with that. Because not everybody has to put their games on Nintendo's platforms. And I think that as a fan base, Nintendo fan base has to stop. And not everyone in the fan base, but this is just a general overview of the fan base. Is how it's looked is you need to put these games on our platform because. And I know that might sound odd with the two streams I just did, but it's more or less like this. There are companies have working relationships with Nintendo that just do seedy things that make no sense, like Capcom and Namco Bandai. Like, I'll question that because like you will do this for Nintendo here, but then say fuck them there, and I don't understand that. But there are companies who just straight up say fuck them all together. Fine, I'm cool with you. Because you're not like playing the game. You're not trying to play back and forth like, okay, we'll put these games here and then we won't put these there. I'm like, and even then, I don't expect third parties to put all of their games on one particular platform. But if you're going to do it for other platforms where you will put all of your games on these particular platforms, then you need to do it across the board. Like if you're going to give one company this game and another company this game and this company that game, fine. I have no issue with that. Because at that point it's like, okay, we know these games fit this audience, these games fit this audience, and these games fit that audience. Cool. Perfectly fine. But if you're just gonna say, hey, we're gonna drop this here, there, and there, skip you here. Yeah, I do get a little bit irritated with that. And I think that a lot of Nintendo fans get irritated with that. And that's the reason that and PokeKid brought this up in a previous live stream. But that's why I could see why third-party publishers can be scared of Nintendo's fan base, because they're like, well, we let our teams put all this money into putting these games on there, and then it didn't work out. Well, like they hate us, they're mad at us, they're angry at us. Like, but you realize what you've done several times in a row, like EA. Okay, Mass Effect 3 Special Edition comes out for the Wii U. Then a week later, Mass Effect Trilogy comes out for PS3, 360, and PC. Now, if I'm a thinking person, am I going to spend the $60 that I have on the one game for the Wii U, or am I going to spend it on the 3 games for any of the other 3 platforms? Would you really do that? Would you really say, hey, I'm going to put this money here and get the Wii U version? Damn all of the different features that the Wii U version has specifically to it. That's not enough to compensate for having 2 separate games that are just not on it, as well as all of the possible things that you can't do because those other games aren't there. Because once you play that version, the Wii U version of Mass Effect 3, it is a self-contained version of the game, which is only a third of the actual story. Now, if they were actually going to work on it and say, we're going to do the trilogy for the Wii U, and then give everybody else the trilogy after that. Maybe put it at a slightly cheaper price, like maybe like $50 in comparison to the Wii U having it for 60. People would have bought the Wii U one because they were like, well, okay, I understand it's got the gamepad features, and this is the first time it's been on a Nintendo platform. People probably would have reasoned that way. But when you look at look at it like this, like, well, there's a trilogy here, and I haven't played any of the games yet, or the one game here, and I haven't played all the games yet, and I'm not going to get the full. I'm not going to get the full experience here, and I think people overlook that. People overlook that, like way overlook that. So it's just one of those things where, like, and that was an EA choice. That wasn't a BioWare choice. That was an EA choice because EA is the publisher. So I'm like, yeah, y'all really did that and thought that it was just going to be all rainbows and unicorns for everybody for some reason. Like, no, hell no, that was just not going to work out. But that's the type of stuff that happens, and that's the problem. That's definitely the problem. Like, and I can understand with a lot of people being Nintendo fans not wanting to spend their money there. But then there are people who say, well, we have to support the third parties in order for them to put more games out on our platforms. While I think the truth sits somewhere in between. If third-party developers really want Nintendo fans to go out and buy their games on Nintendo hardware, then they need to stop giving the Nintendo hardware intentional gimps, or intentionally like you basically intentionally sabotage your release of a game on this particular platform, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous as hell, and it causes a lot of problems. So for me, when I look at it, like Rocket League is coming out. Rocket League is giving everybody fair treatment. And I'm not talking about graphics and visual parity. Like, yeah, there's going to be some games that aren't going to look as good on one platform as the next. That is not my problem. My problem is content-wise that the games aren't equal or aren't similarly treated. Like Rocket League, Xbox I think has some special cars. PlayStation has some special cars. And now since it's going to be going to the Switch, Switch is going to have some special cards. And Switch and PC and Xbox are going to have cross-platform play, which Sony sadly going to be left out on. But again, and this is even worse. This right here is even worse. A competing company that is competing against Nintendo in the same marketplace, who owns Minecraft, who owns Mojang, Microsoft, is giving more parity to a Nintendo platform than third-party publishers are. Think about that one. They compete against Nintendo. A potential Switch sale is a potential non-sale for an Xbox One. That's something to think about. A potential Switch sale is a potential non-sale of an Xbox One. And that doesn't necessarily mean that, but it's a potential thing that could happen where somebody says, well, shit, I can get it on the Switch, I can play it on the go, I can play it on at home, I can log into my Xbox Live account and play with other people online. Fuck that! Why get the fucking Xbox One? This is just theoretically thinking about just Minecraft. Just Minecraft. I'm not talking about every goddamn thing else. So nobody equate those things. But it's just like, dude, if Microsoft can give parity, how the fuck can you third-party developers not give parity? And then bitch when your shit doesn't sell. Oh, there's some Nintendo fans, they don't want to buy this shit. Of course you're not going to buy something that's fucked up intentionally. Would you go to a hardware store and buy a drill that doesn't fucking work? Or would you go to a department store and get a couch that's fucking sawed in half? Who the fuck would do that type of shit? Department or furniture store. But would you go... Okay. This one's going to sound weird. But would you go to a bakery to get half a cake for full price? Likely not. You'd be pissed off as fucking. You going in here, bought this big gigantic cake for like this massive party you having. You get in that bitch, they got a quarter sheet cake about this big sitting on there, and you done paid like $80 for this fucking thing. You gonna be pissed the fuck off. So yes, the Nintendo fan base was pissed the fuck off for quite a while, and still in some ways will be. And there are people who will hold to those things until they see a change happen from the other side. So, fair enough. If you don't want to put your games on the Nintendo platform because you feel like the Nintendo fan base is not going to purchase your games and you're not going to make your money back, fine. But, if you are going to put your games on the Nintendo platform, treat them fairly so that you can actually say, hey, they're just not interested in these types of games over there. Rather than, hey, I'm gonna put this out here, but I'm gonna take this away, I'm gonna take that away, I'm gonna take that away, and you guys ain't gonna get all that shit. We're just gonna give that to everybody else. You ain't gonna get none of that lovely shit. That's where the biggest problem comes with Nintendo fans and Western third party publishers. I can't even say it's the Western third-party developers because a lot of them, after leaving their companies, have gone on to make games in indie studios and put their shit on Nintendo's platforms and given parity. So it's not the developers, it's the publishers, because they're worried about how much money they're going to make back. But the problem is, when you literally gimp things like that, you make it unattractive to purchase. And this is something that should be known. This should be common sense. It doesn't take a businessman to figure out if, hey, this person gives me a full scoop of ice cream when I pay them $1, and this guy gives me a quarter of a scoop of ice cream when I pay them $1. I'm gonna go to the motherfucker that gives me the full scoop. It's simple. It's simple shit. It's not that difficult. And I think that a lot of third-party developers could do very well. Not developers, publishers could do very well with Nintendo if they worked better with them, if they communicated better with them. And that's on Nintendo too, because they have to have a better open communication line for the publishers of these games, which I think that they're working on. They have been working on since the Wii U. But like when I look at them, like, you have a huge install base in the 3DS, and the 3DS like hardly ever gets touched. But there's these companies that are sitting on so many IPs and older games that they could have literally, from the 6th gen, there are plenty of games that have not seen a second iteration, or even they haven't seen an iteration, they haven't seen a spin-off, none of that shit that could have been put on the 3DS. As far as Nintendo is concerned, a lot of them could have done the same thing for the Vita, but they chose not to for some reason. They wanted to try to put current games on the Vita with way poorer performance and less buttons. I don't know where the logic went there. I don't ask me on that one. But when you have like the 3DS, anything 6th gen and down, you can look through your catalog, your library of your games, and say, oh shit, maybe we can put this on there. That might actually work. Like, why not? With the 3DS, with its being an older platform, if you were to put out games that are older than the 3DS itself, that were home console games at one point, and put them on the 3DS, you probably make a lot of money, because one, you can sell them for cheaper. You don't have to have a whole lot more work to go into them because it's already a finished product. You just have to do the necessary things to make it run properly on the 3DS and set up some buttons the right way. I know I'm simplifying it, but it's not as hard as starting something from scratch. And even then, that's still a lot cheaper on the 3DS. So you're more likely going to make your money back off of that investment, because it's that much cheaper, and Nintendo's supporting it into 2018 and maybe beyond that from what they just Okay, the Super Saiyans have woke up. That's good. I was about to end this anyway. But yeah, look, treat the Nintendo fan base right, and they'll treat you right. That's the simple message here. Treat them right, they'll treat you right. And there's a lot of things on an individual basis as far as games are concerned where you could point to something that messed up one product doing well on a particular platform that it didn't do that it did well on another. And if you and people can group together all the third party games on the Wii U that did not do well and say, hey, this is why they don't want to spend the money. But yes, that's if you look at everything as a group. If you look at everything individually, you come up to some reasoning that's really really draws out the skepticism in a lot of people. Like, nobody on Xbox would have bought Mass Effect 3 if that was the only one in the series that they got. No one would have bought that. They would not have bought it on the Xbox on an Xbox 360 at all. They would have looked at, well, some people would have bought it, obviously, but it would not have done as well as it did if it was developed for the PS3 exclusively. And then later on down the line, they say, hey, let's put it on other platforms. And the Wii U did get the trilogy. The 360 one wasn't going to... The 360 one for $60 by itself would not have sold well. And I don't care if they put smart glass features in it or not, it would not have done well. That is a fact. There's no getting around that. It probably would have done better on the Wii U at that point. But I'm just saying, if you flip it around, you can tell that it's not necessarily the fan base itself that would not have bought it. It's the fact that, hey, this is the complete inferior version of it. And that is the utter truth to that situation. This version of it is completely inferior to the other ones. Or, where is it? Even this game. I love this game. I love this game. But this was done dirty too. This one was put out full price for the Wii U, but then the equivalent version of the game is put on the 360 and the PS3 for $20. $20 as opposed to 60. So yeah, a lot of people didn't go out and buy this one. They were like, I'm 60 here and 20 there, and y'all think that that $10 on a cartridge for the Switch is expensive now as opposed to that? Yeah, I can see why people didn't want to pay for that shit. I can see why people said, nah, dog, I ain't spending the extra money on it. Not to mention that they literally held this version of the game back intentionally, and they said it. They held this version of the game back intentionally so that the other ones could have parity with it. Yeah. But hey, let's blame the fan base as to why it's not going to sell, right? I mean, there are some things that the Nintendo fan base is at fault for. But when it comes down to a gimped version of a game, or a game being more expensive in an arbitrary way, as opposed to counterparts on other platforms, yeah, I can understand why a Nintendo fan base would be like, well, fuck you, I'm not going to buy that. I understand that completely. And I would not get mad. I completely understand that and would not get mad about it. But I'm done. I gotta go deal with my Super Saiyan children. Gotta go deal with my Super Saiyan children real quick and calm them down before they blow up my house, I guess. But thank you guys very much for listening, you guys, and this is up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games. I'm not sure if I will do another live stream today. I'm thinking about something else. Might not. I might not. I'm not sure. We'll see. But that's it. Peace out, everybody. And y'all have a wonderful evening.